Shall we start recording? I don't know. Should we? Well, let's light the fuse. So today in the shop, I'm going to be starting my Fools with Tools Treasure Trade 2021 treasure. I'm going to make a vice grip. So I signed up to do the big treasure trade exchange. And so to fulfill the big aspect of it, I'm not going to make them big. I'm going to make them tiny because that's one of the things I enjoy is making tiny tools. So I'm going to make a pair. So today I am just going to do the basic beginnings of planning for the project. So let me pull up. The style of vice grip that I'm going to be making is actually a design that I'm borrowing from John. How do you say your last name, John? Heisz? Heisz? How do you say your name? So anyway, so on John's YouTube channel, he has how to make a wooden vice grip clamp. And then in the video, it says if you want to make your own, there's a free downloadable pattern that you can use. And so I'm just going to, he said I could, do it. So I'm just going to use his engineering, his ingenuity, but I'm going to make them small. But I don't really know yet how small. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm going to look at what stock that I have, look at how I'm going to alter it to be made into a tiny metal vice grip, and I'm gonna tap and die a bunch of things that he kind of glued in place with dowels and then cut the dowels flush. I'm not gonna do that. I'll probably have some threaded pins that go into threaded tubes that will then hold everything together. So it's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be a simpler project for me because usually when I make tiny tools, I start from the beginning just looking at the original tool, and then I engineer how I'm going to shrink it. And this is kind of like using somebody else's work. And so it's probably the only reason why, because so now it's Saturday, October 16th, and I have to mail it out November 22nd. So, instead of taking me months to do, I just needed to take a few Saturdays and Sundays, and then that'll be a good kind of middle ground. So I dropped my phone, but then I kicked my leg out at the last second and it caught my phone. It was amazing. So I actually have tried to make a tiny pair of vice grip pliers. Aha, I found it. Okay. This is so funny. I haven't thought about this in a really long time. Okay, so it was the same year that for the Metal Museum Repair Days auction, I first tried to make these vice grips, which I'll show you. And then I ended up just making one of this, which, it's just a more simpler version. But I've already done this. I don't want to make this for the treasure trade. That's I don't want to repeat it. Anyway, so let me show you what I had done before. So this is the parts of when I had tried to make it before. Let's just pull this out so that you have an idea. So when I'm making these tiny tools, a lot of times I'll take one and break it apart. And so for this vice grip, you can see I literally cut it apart. Let's see. So this was rivets and it was all riveted. Let me see if I can get one that's together. These are vice grips. These are vice grips that we're used to seeing. And so I cut it apart. So this is this. And we've got all these jaws. Somehow there's another jaw. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, this is starting to make some sense. on the bench. I think this goes in here. Right, okay. So that is like the deconstructed vice grip. To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I'm showing you this, because this isn't what I'm making. I guess I'm trying to like get validation, like, okay, I tried to make vice grips like this other time. And so, you know, this is what it looks like in real life. This is when I took it apart, trying to figure out how I was going to make it small. And then this one, look at that. Focus. Yeah, there you go. So I had, you know, tried. I had tried, guys. I had really tried. And I just realized, like, no matter what, it was not going to work unless I, like, cast the parts. So this is nickel. Actually, the material that you're seeing, this is nickel. So that's why it's white, but it's not steel and it's not sterling silver. And so I think I'm going to use nickel when I make this pair. Yeah, I think that that's enough procrastinating. I should just like look at my materials and look at my threading options for making kind of bolts to hold it together, and then see if I need to source any other material. So let's get that. Let's do it. Surveying the situation and seeing what am I going to use. I already knew the type of sheet I was going to be using was the 18 gauge nickel sheet, but figuring out the size of the handmade bedazzled nuts and bolts, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm seeing, you know, how big of tubing do I have? How big do I want the outer diameter of the tubing to be? I'm looking for probably 3mm setting burrs, because I have the stones. They're going to be 3mm CZs. Making sure that that's going to fit on the tubing, or like on the end of it. Like, it's all like, for all of this to work, it's amazing because it needs to be perfectly choreographed or like perfectly coordinated, but within like 2mm. Like, it's all based on each other. So the size of the threads that I'm using, that I'm going to be cutting into the size of the tube, will dictate how big the tube is, and then that will dictate how big the larger tube with the stone will be in it. So it's all like kind of, I mean, it's a type of engineering in a way. A little bit of chin on the hand, just looking at everything. It's funny, this is like a lot of just you watching me stand around while I concentrate. That's okay though. This type of legwork is what's going to make it flow when I actually go to fabricate it. You know, I won't be cutting a million parts that end up not working. I don't know if this is very interesting, but at the beginning of every project, there's, oh, look, I found my cut lube. Remember I had been using that huge block of beeswax? Well, I found that. And yeah, I just pulled out the nickel sheet that I'm going to be using. All right. Now I have the main shooter out, so I'm about to talk to the camera. That'll maybe end up in the final YouTube video for the build of this project, but Yep, using a common. I really liked this kind of like combination of the Sony camera and then also my iPhone from the top down view. And I used to film them like one right after the other, but now I film that at the same time and then just cut back and forth between the cameras. And it's been working really well. Oh, and then I'm going to draw a little diagram for how I'm planning on doing the handmade nuts and bolts, where John had just used dowels, the wooden dowels, and then glued them into place. I could use rivets for a lot of these, but I like making threaded elements. I like bedazzling things, and also if I ever have to take it apart, it's good to be able to not have to drill out rivets. And that's about it for that day. It was kind of a short day in the studio this day because I was just doing a bunch of figuring out how to get started. All right, I just put in another, hi, my memory card got full, and so I had to put in a new memory card, but at the same time, my iPhone battery died, so the iPhone's charging, so I'm not going to have any other down shots, but like, so that's the distilled essence of what I've done so far is like found my materials. I think I have everything I need. I think the only thing I'm going to have to order is 3mm setting burrs with which to set the CZs when I'm going to like set them. But that's something that I should have anyway. So I don't know. I'm kind of like contemplating ordering maybe some sapphires or some either man-made emeralds or man-made sapphires, because I feel like the colors might make sure that it doesn't look too feminine of a project, which is something that I'm always kind of like worried about, but I probably shouldn't be. But yeah, I just feel like the white stones might be too feminine, but I don't know. So since I have to make an order anyways, and the synthetic stones are really not that like expensive. I mean, I'm not making it out of silver. I'm just using some silver components. So I guess the last thing that I want to say is, so John has at like the top of it, he's got this little knob that's just a piece of plywood that's rounded. I don't know if you can see that right there. And so I think that I'm going to make it be kind of like a wing nut shape. I have made tiny wing nut bolts before in some projects that I did in graduate school. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Whatever. What the heck? But this is definitely going to be a novelty item. It's not going to really be intended for use. So it can be kind of crazy and like have a wing nut and we'll just wing it. It's going to be, I'm pretty excited about this though. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into Photoshop and miniaturize this pattern PDF and then I'll be able to start cutting the pieces out. So that's exciting. All right, but let's get to it.
Good morning. Hi guys. It's editing Laura, and it's not 5 a.m., but it's gosh darn near close to 5 a.m. I'm making coffee now, but I just need to say that where that ended right then, that's where the day ended. I mean, I continued to put the pattern in Photoshop and like shrink it and print it back out again, but then I ended up starting to dump all my footage, and that was the end of the day. And I think that in the studio I thought maybe I was going to come back down and work, some more, but I didn't. So this is just me coming in and saying, like, I may have left you with a cliffhanger that I was going to come back, but I didn't. And yeah, right now I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold, so you can hear the frog in my throat. You probably can hear the frog in my throat, like, you can, during the voiceovers of this episode and then the next two, because I just did the voiceovers all at once, you can probably hear how much my voice is struggling. But yeah, I just like finished editing that and felt like I gotta check in with them and tell them like that was it. Oh, but anyways, my water is boiling, so I'm gonna make some coffee and keep on keeping on. Fighting the good fight, right? Okay, well, since I didn't say a proper goodbye earlier, I would like to grant you with a proper goodbye. And thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping me company when I'm working in my studio. And I love you. And I hope you have a great day. And it sounds like my water's boiling. Okay, bye. Mwah. So a little while ago, I had this kind of crazy idea of how I could thank my Patreon supporters for always sponsoring my videos and giving me love and encouragement and support. And so here goes nothing. This song is dedicated to my Patreon members of the Ironclad crew.